Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
There's a word I'm hearing more and more, and I love this word because it says so much, and that word is clarity. Here we are entering a brand new year. You might be wondering why you haven't met those goals from 2022. How come you're not moving in a positive direction? Maybe, just maybe you need some clarity on why that's not happening. And with that comes a life coach, somebody who is plugged in and helps individuals, entrepreneurs, works with businesses and corporations. She knows her stuff, and she's with us today. Laurie Greenberg joins us. Welcome, Laurie. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me and starting off the new year. Like you said, we all have big plans for the year. We want to end it just as well as, the last year, but even better. And sometimes we get overwhelmed. We think, oh my God, the whole year's in front of me. What do we want to do? And so I help people to create that clarity so that they can really hone in on what it is that they really want. You can't be better in all areas of life. We got to focus on specific areas that are important to ourselves.
I'm actually feeling that now. To be very honest with you, a few days into the new year, have thoughts, have goals, and only so much time. So I'm feeling, all right, I can't, all that. Then there's this. I didn't feel that 3 weeks ago. So I think it's also the pressure of you want to succeed and reach those goals. And by the way, I love the name of your business, Infinite Potential Coaching. I mean, we all have infinite potential. There's no stopping us as long as we take the right steps and be a little methodic and strategic in terms of doing that.
Absolutely. And you're exactly right. We think, oh, I want to do all these things, but then you can only do so many at a time. So again, the new year is a little tricky because we think, oh, we got to start it today, or we can't start something new mid-year, midweek. But really what it is about making priorities, prioritizing what's important to ourselves. And that requires gaining some clarity, gaining some focus, and then going after each of those one by one. So by the end of the year, you might have accomplished a lot of goals, but it's hard on day one to say, I want to do all these things and I want to do them tomorrow. I'm going to start all of them tomorrow. It's unrealistic. And we usually, as you know, don't succeed in following through with our resolutions past maybe January, February, if we're lucky. So instead of making resolutions, what I like to help people to do is get really clear on what their intentions are for the year, because intentions are more of how we want to feel, what's like our vibe for the year, and staying true to your vibe and true to yourself and tuning into what is important to you. Not what's important in culture, losing weight, making a lot of money, all these things. It's important to really get in touch with ourselves. And that's really what I mean when I say help people get clarity.
I love that. And how that resonates in my mind is that we can all use the resolution word. I want to lose weight. That's probably number one. I think out of the top 10 of 2023 resolutions, the top four of them are health related. One of them is, of course, weight. But if it's not from here, it's not within, it's not your true intention. You're just saying, I want to lose weight. 10 pounds, I'm going to do it. It's probably not going to happen because it's not from within.
That's right.
It might be a resolution, but it's not a true intent.
That's right. Yeah. And we have lots of noise in our world. We have noise from advertisers, like the gyms are all advertising to you, and there's deals on, getting a membership and losing weight and doing all these things. And our culture tells us, you should be losing 10 pounds or whatever it is. But like you said, if it's not coming from within, if it's a have to and not a want to, you're not going to do it. You're not going to stick to it. You might do it for a few weeks. And then what you really fall into is your day to day, your things you want to do, the things you have to do. You're not going to stick to these resolutions that you just kind of put on paper. And then you start to judge yourself. Oh, I didn't accomplish that goal. I didn't accomplish that goal. But if you stick to your intention, is, I want to start, being true to myself. I want to start, not caring what other people think. I want to start really focusing in on what would make me happy, because you may lose the 10 pounds because that was your resolution, but that maybe not really do anything for you. Okay, you lost 10 pounds, you did it, you won. But what did you really win? So it's more important to really dig in first to why you're creating these resolutions, how you really want to feel, and then following through with them, because like you said, it's coming from the heart.
Sounds like when you work with somebody and coach somebody, you're more emotionally centered as opposed to maybe just task oriented.
Totally. So I have both sides. Sometimes I refer to it as masculine and feminine, and we all have both sides.
Sure.
And I'm very action oriented. I was a pharmacist before I became a coach 6 years ago for 20 years. So I have the science-based background. However, I think our heads, if we go from our heads to our heart, you said emotional versus like tactical, our hearts and our bodies never lie. Our intuition is like our inner self, and it speaks to us. It tells us what we really want.
Yep.
Our heads have a bunch of noise in it. Our heads have all of the baggage from our whole lives, from culture, from our families, from other people, from our spouses. And so our heads can confuse us. So I always say, don't think it, start to feel it. So yes, I try to help people. I create space for people to take the time to shut out the noise and to get into their heart or their body or their gut or whatever, because that will never lie to you. Your head plays all kinds of tricks. So yeah, you hit it right on the head. That's how I coach. Emotionally based, not as much. We do action oriented strategies, but first you have to get to the heart.
It's often been said that, and I think it's scientifically proven that we use just 5% of our conscious and 95% is the subconscious. And that's where it's all in. You know, it's what you really want. It's what's holding you back from what you really want. All of that's all happening in within us. How do you address that? Is that something that you do look at?
Totally. So what you're talking about is living more consciously, living more intentionally, which majority of us don't. And so how do you do that? I have 3 steps. The first 3 steps are basically getting awareness, creating that awareness. So we don't know what we don't know until someone points it out or observes it or asks you a certain question that you're like, oh, that's why I've been wanting to do that. Like, it's not just to lose 10 pounds. It's because I haven't been feeling healthy or whatever it is. So the first step is awareness. And once you have the awareness, you can accept it. I accept that that's the reason why this has been the way it is. It's why I'm 20 pounds overweight, or, because I haven't been finishing my work, my book. There's reasons why. But first step is awareness. Second step is acceptance. And then the third step is conscious choice. Once we know what we now know consciously, we're aware of it. We're not walking around numb or, not paying attention to what we don't want to pay attention to. We accept it. That is our truth. Like we talk, our heart told us that that's our truth. Then we can make a conscious choice. Okay, so now that I know it, what do I want to do with that? What do I want to do with that information? Do I want to move ahead with it? Do I want to start focusing on it? Do I want to make that a priority? Or do I want to leave that to another day and work on what I'm already working on? And there's no right or wrong. You get to choose. I always say we choose the amount of happiness that we have. We create our reality. And so how do we do that? We make choices. Yep. We can be in a bad place. We can be sad. There's nothing wrong with it. There's no judgment. It's not good or bad to be sad, but it's a choice. When we are ready to get out of that sadness or that lower place, we can choose to focus on something else, to focus on the things that make us feel happiness or, confidence or anything else that you're wanting to feel.
So that being said, Laurie, and so many people are making career changes now. Maybe it's a byproduct of COVID. You have this awareness or realization like, yeah, it's time. How do we apply that to somebody that is potentially making a pivot to a different career? What should they be thinking? What should they be feeling to know that, yeah, this is really what I should be doing?
Yeah. So again, I don't know the answer to that. So what I do with my clients is I help them go on a journey into themselves to
and
start
by the
listening
way,
to themselves.
There's no way you could know the answer in each individual person because everybody's different.
Right.
But
yes.
Just what you're saying, that journey, or even for somebody that is thinking that, what should they be asking themselves?
Good question.
To make sure it's the right choice.
Yes. So, and I can just use myself as an example.
Sure.
So about 5 or 6 years ago, I was a pharmacist. I did it for 20 years. I really enjoyed what I did. I was helping people in a different way. And I started getting like I don't want to say bored, but I got an itch to try something new. My kids were getting older. I felt like I could be doing something else. So I went on my own. It literally took me a year and a half journey. I didn't have a coach at the time. If I would have known to have a coach, it would have been a lot more efficient of a journey. So I really explored a lot of different areas. And that's what I would say for someone that's just feeling like, I'm not really aligned with what I'm currently doing. It's important to start exploring new areas, to really just kind of dipping your toe into things that you think you might like. What I always tell people is when you try these things, tune into your body. Does it feel good? Does it feel aligned? Does it feel like you're going in the right direction? If it does, keep going. If it doesn't, no harm, no foul. It's all part of the experience of your journey, of your research, of your exploration to the next phase of your life. So it's not like all of a sudden you ask 10 questions and you know exactly what you're going to do. It's starting to dip your toe into things you might not have ever thought of. You might have been scared. You have to peel away those layers of fear. So it's finding what those obstacles are that have been holding you back from figuring out what you want first. And then once you clear away the obstacles, whether it be fear or money or just like lack of clarity or any of those things, then you start taking those baby steps like, that's interesting. Get curious and just start to explore. And one of the reasons I personally think coaching or having a coach is helpful, and I will always have a coach, is it just makes the process more efficient. Just like if you wanted to get in shape, you could do it on your own. You could go to a gym, you could go in your home gym or join a gym. But when you have somebody that's holding you accountable, that really challenges you and pushes you, you can't make excuses as easily. You still can make excuses, but it's a little bit more accountability than doing it on your own. So it's just a little more efficient to work with someone and get that support. It's not a necessity. No one needs a coach. It's something that some people want to help them on this journey.
Oh, on the fitness side, I just texted a friend of mine. She's also a trainer. I worked with her last year. I was in probably the best shape of my life, and stopped working with her. I'm just, there's parallels here.
Absolutely.
And gained weight. And I just texted her back and I was like, so what mornings are you free? Because it worked. And she was accountable and she was annoying sometimes, but it was
yes, of course.
And in a fun way, I would throw it in her face and she'd throw it back at me. But it worked. It worked. Yeah. And same thing with, having a life coach for whatever your goals are. Laurie, how about intuition, gut feeling? How much does that come into play with somebody? Is that something that when we talk about clearing away the clutter for the clarity, is that part of the clarity?
Absolutely. And it takes time and it takes practice. We all have the ability, we all have the sense. We just, like you said, 95% of us or 95% of the time, we're walking around a little bit unconscious. And so part of what I do,
I love the way you put that. I got to tell you, I've never heard it said that way. We are walking around unconscious. We're fully awake, but we're really not fully conscious because it's our subconscious that's driving us.
Yes. We're walking around, we're living our life, but we're not really living our life. We're passively participating in life. And what I try to inspire people to realize is that you can really walk around conscious and make conscious decisions and create what you want to happen. The more proactive you are about your life or about your weight, about your fitness skills or whatever, the more that you can take the right path versus life is like this, right? It's up and down, it's all over the place. Sure. But when you kind of are on the right path, you get there a lot more efficiently. You get there a lot more, you're just not distracted. There's a book called Essentialism, and it just basically talks about really kind of knowing what you want and sticking, not that you can never have fun and go off your path, but it's like the majority of your time should sort of be spent aligned with what feels good to you, not what feels good or what you're being told to other people. Like helping others is really, helpful. But at the same time, we all are on this, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, we're all on this earth to serve or to live a certain purpose for ourselves. And I help people to find that path so that they can be more aligned and feel good about it and feel fulfilled and feel content. And it's a lot more efficient when you have somebody that keeps kind of guardrails, like, oh, you forgot about the workouts this week. Let's get you back on, instead of 2 years later, you've gained 20 pounds. And we keep using weight, but just like
Sure.
athletes hire coaches to stay in their peak performance, or you hired a coach to stay in your peak energy shape. Similarly, you hire coaches to live your life at your peak. In my, again, in my
I'm
humble
right there
opinion.
with you. And it's almost as if we get pulled in all different directions in life. And if
Of
you're going to get it in your
course.
car and you've got a destination, face it, when you're in your car, you usually know where you want to go. So you're heading in that direction. Sometimes you may make a turn here,
Exactly.
maybe grab a coffee, get back on the road and go. You don't want to go like this. The car's all over the place and then back on the road, then back over here. You wouldn't normally do that. Why would you do that in life when you're trying to reach a goal destination?
For sure. I mean, that's a perfect metaphor. And there are moments in our life where we do want to just kind of get in the car and not know where we're going and just
Yeah.
explore and not really have a plan. And that's awesome. It's like when you're on vacation. I was on vacation and it was lovely. I read, trashy novels and had no plan. And then
Right.
it was a good break, and I was excited to come home and get back to my routine and get back on my path and work with my clients and talk to interesting people and do these podcasts. And so there's nothing wrong. There's no right or wrong. It's not like everyone needs to be on a straight and narrow path. Just if people feeling a little overwhelmed or confused about going back to the new year and what they want to accomplish this year, it is helpful, in
Yeah,
my humble opinion, to have someone supporting you through that journey.
without a doubt. And it's funny, we're talking about the car analogy, but whenever I get in the car, I'm going to go somewhere. Hey, we're going to go hit a restaurant tonight. A bunch of friends are going to be going. I'll drive. Can you navigate?
That's
I
right.
always love to have, all right, got to make a turn here. Yes, I can set my GPS, whatever. Just tell me make the turn. I don't want to focus on this. I just want to drive, enjoy the ride, but have somebody else show me the direction to go in. And I think it's kind of the same thing with a life coach. They're there with you, riding shotgun in the car,
Totally. I
showing you the
use
way.
that example. I totally say to you, or my clients, I say to them, I don't know where we're going to go on this journey, but I'm in the passenger seat. You're driving the car. I'm meeting you wherever you want. There's no right or wrong way where we're going, but wherever you want to go, I'm going to get you there. So we start with wherever you currently are, and how do you feel about it? If you're like, it's fine, that's okay. Live your life fine. If you want it to be better than fine, your infinite potential, that's where I say, okay, what would that look like? And we create visions, and we, like you said, pick the spot, we pick the destination. And then we find, is there any blocks in the way? Is there any construction in the roads? Is there any, things that we have to get over first before you get to that spot? We find those obstacles. We create strategies to move through them. And then we create action plans. And there's no doubt that we get you to where you want to go because we created the clarity first.
Laurie GPS Greenberg. That's what I'm going to call you from now on.
I like it. I like it.
With the way you work with somebody, you identify what the goals are. We find the clarity. And this is a question that just about everybody is going to ask. In fact, I have an older daughter, and she's doing very well in her career. But it's funny, she posted on Instagram at the start of the year. She says, "I'm not normally a person that does goals, but here they are." And I'm looking, I'm like, those are mine, short of what her career goals are, because obviously they're different. And I suggested, a life coach could really help you along. She was never thought about that. But the first question you get, and everybody I'm sure asks this question, how long does it take? Typically how many sessions? What do you suggest be the minimum,
Yeah.
to go on that journey?
Yes. So I've done one, so I either do basically packages with people for a minimum of 8 sessions. The reason I say 8 is I do there's 3 basic, the systems. Like the first part is the clarity section. We really figure out what you want, because what you think you want may not be exactly what you want. That's where we figure out the whys and what's driving you, what's the reasoning, all that stuff. And sometimes it shifts a little, it tweaks. The middle 3 sections, 2 to 3 sessions, are really, like I said, identifying the obstacles. What are the challenges? What certificates do you need if that's really what you want? What do you need to change in your life if that's really what you want? Do you need to join a gym? Do you need to change your lifestyle? And then the final few sessions are basically creating the action plans and really creating like a realistic, practical plan to getting you to where you want to go. Now, with that said, after the 8 sessions, a lot of my clients continue because they're like, crap, if I could get all that done, and it doesn't always take the 8 sessions, it might take 3, but they realize how efficient their life is starting to move because they've talked about it. Things start to happen in their life that they're paying attention to, and so they take advantage of it. They're manifesting things. So a lot of my clients actually continue on and on and on. I've had a few of mine since I began, actually. Not because they're like in this confused state. It's because, similar to me, they want to keep living their infinite potential. But 8 is like a really good way, a good amount of time to really get you to where you are going. Now, with that said, I do meet people on like a one-time deep dive, and that's just like creating a lot of clarity. And I do that with people because sometimes people just want like, tell me which way to go, and then I can do it myself. And that's cool too. I have no problem with that. Just know that, like you said, it's one thing if you have a trainer once and she shows you what to do. It's another thing if you meet with them weekly and they're like, let's get back on the treadmill. Let's start lifting the weights. So it's, 8 is where I really feel like people get a lot accomplished. They really move through that journey and they realize what can possibly be done in a few months. One is just to kind of like, again, dip their toe in it and see if we're a good connection, if they're getting a lot from me. Because just like your personal trainer, it's important that you bond with the person that you're working with, that you feel comfortable, that you resonate, that it makes sense to you, because there's all different kinds of people, different folks, different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been scientifically proven through research that it takes time. That's why you ever hear of, the 12-step program. Why 12? There's a reason for that, because it works. And I call it habits of a champion. These are habits. You're refocusing yourself. You're changing yourself in a good way to get to that goal. We all have bad habits. Let's admit,
Yeah, absolutely.
It's probably holding us back from attaining what we really want to attain. The deep dive is great to see where you're at. I like what you said a second ago, Laurie, in that when you either do a deep dive or initial consultation, that it may not be what you really want in life in terms of that goal. And you'll help somebody question that for the plus or the minus, whatever it might be, because what do we know? We don't have that view. We have friends and family that could be either egging us onto something, encouraging us, or discouraging us at the same time.
That's right.
Impartial person is going to give it to you straight.
I have no skin in the game. So a lot of times I'll talk to I actually started working with college students because I have a couple of my own and whatever. And a lot of times I'll talk to them and they'll tell me they don't want to be in college. That one of them wanted to be an EMT, emergency medical technician. I have no judgment on that. He felt very strongly about it. He's ended up dropping out of college and going into that. He's so happy. He's so fulfilled, but he couldn't tell his parents that. Like he did, but they didn't understand it. So again, having an impartial person to really help get you back on track or let you try things, and you say, nope, that wasn't right. Let's start a new path. So it's like someone to kind of be the guardrails, but no judgment on it, no skin in the game, just someone to take you on the journey.
I love that. And my best friend, 40 years plus, he went from the graphics industry to he's an EMT and he loves it. And I don't look at him like, how do you do that every day, man? Carrying people, how's your back? How's that? Oh, it's great. Love doing it. He's the first one there. Yeah, there's something to be said. And I had this conversation with somebody yesterday regarding school. The way school is now, especially high school, they're all gearing you up for college. What about people that don't want to go to college, that want to do a trade?
It's not for everyone.
It's not for everyone. And I unless somebody psychic can figure this out, or a scientist, but we're going to need plumbers forever. All those.
And it goes
trades.
to listening to yourself, because 4 years of college, or another student who thought he was going to go to med school decided that's really not what he wanted to do, saved him a couple $100,000 in debt that he might have, taken on this career. Who knows how long he would have practiced or not practiced.
Yep.
So it's important to keep checking in with yourself. And again, getting support to check in with yourself is often more helpful than trying to figure it all out yourself.
So if somebody wants to figure it out with you and start the process, maybe initial consultation, what do they do?
So the best way to reach me is my email, Laurie, Laurie, at myinfinitepotential.com, or my website is myinfinitepotential.com. And I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. But yeah, just send me an email. All my packages, if you mention this podcast, will be 10% off, which I normally don't, do any discounts, but I feel like it's kind of cool to know where they found me. But yeah, I mean, like I said, there's coaches all over. I do a free 15-minute consultation just to kind of see what you're looking for and see if I'm a good match. And then I take you on a journey if you're ready to go. And again, the one criteria I have for my clients is that they're motivated and ready to go. Because like you said, sometimes you're going to hate me along the way.
in a good way.
In a good way.
I love that you're real, Laurie, and also that you center on emotion with what you work on, because that's the baseline for everything. And not that other life coaches don't, but they don't really talk about it. And it's super important. It's great talking with you today and meeting you.
You too. You too. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. It's going to be a good one. And yeah, we all have infinite potential. So let's use that.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.